Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you all for joining me today to talk about one of my favorite topics, public libraries. There's been quite a bit of talk about the future of libraries. How will they change? What will they look like in the future? Before we can talk about how they will change, I thought it would be good for us to start from a common ground. So let's get a definition that we can agree on. What is a library? According to the Oxford English Dictionary, a library is a building or room containing collections of books, periodicals, sometimes films and recorded music for people to read, borrow, or refer to. So, building or room, that's a place. Collections of books, periodicals, sometimes films and recorded music. Stuff. So a library is a place with stuff. And there's a library for you. What about that? It's a place and it has magazines. That's a library, right? Here we have a place with recorded music. Another library. Now, what about this? There's a few books there, but the OED didn't say anything about computers or game systems. So is this a library? Yes, it is. This is the U Media Center at the Chicago Public Library. And it's an area that was designed to foster digital engagement, to allow teenagers to come in to learn from each other and to explore their creative side with digital media. And taking that a step further, is this a library? There are no books, there are no magazines, no films, no recorded music, there is nothing in print here. Yet it is a library. This is the new Bexar County Library in Texas, and it is the nation's first all-digital library. It has 10,000 ebooks, 600 e-readers, and of course, as you can see, computers, laptops, and tablets for people to use. But it has no books. Then, moving from high-tech to low-tech, a number of libraries have been taking a bit of a riff off the idea of borrow, use, return. So for example, Oldham County Library in Kentucky has a seed library. People can borrow seeds, take them home, plant them, and then at the end of the season, you collect your seeds, you bring it back for somebody else to use the next year. This is the tool lending library at the Berkeley Public Library in California. In 1989, after the Loma Prieta earthquake, a number of houses and businesses were either damaged badly or totally destroyed, and people needed to rebuild. So 5 libraries in the area started offering tools for checkout as a way to help their communities rebuild. And it was so popular and so well used that they continue to this day. And a number of other libraries around the country now have tool lending libraries as part of their collections. Well, we have a little bit more traditional take on the collections here. There are books, but this isn't a building. It's not a traditional library. This is a town in England that had an unused telephone booth, and they decided to repurpose it as a small lending library for the community. And as you can see, it's very well used. Books, but there's no place at all here. This is out in the open. Is this a library? Yes, this is Luis Soriano, who operates Biblio Burro in the remote province of Magdalena in Colombia. He and his burros take books around to children in these very remote areas. Now, what is this? In 1993, a group in Copenhagen, Denmark, decided to form what they call the Human Library. They felt that people would be a lot better off. They could foster understanding and acceptance and reduce violence by just getting people to talk to each other. So they have human books, which can be checked out by human readers, They have a variety of books representing different minority groups or unpopular stereotypes, and people check them out for a period of 2 hours. They're encouraged to take a walk, go get a cup of coffee, or just find a good place to sit down and talk with your book. You can ask them whatever questions you have, and the hope is that at the end of the 2 hours, you'll both come away with more understanding and acceptance. This has become a popular idea. It's spread all around the world, and a number of libraries in the US have instituted human libraries. But we know that libraries are about more than just places and things. We're about what we do for people, not just what we provide for people. Many of the services that are traditional in libraries are still there. Reference, reader's advisory, children's services, those are still just as important as they ever were. Children's services, of course, is one of the backbones of what we provide for the community. But we serve all ages. Many places have adult literacy classes, basic literacy, ESL classes, life skills classes, job skills, and computer classes, pole dancing classes. This was actually a library in Scotland. They decided that they would offer something that people were interested in, and that turned out to be pole dancing. So they set up poles in the library, and there they go. One of the great things about public libraries is that we are students of our communities. We're always paying attention to the needs of the community and how we might best respond to those needs. So for example, the San Francisco Public Library, in downtown San Francisco, they have a very high population of homeless people and indigent people. So the library worked with the city to place a social worker in the library. And this person is there to direct people to services that they might otherwise not know about. Similarly, Pima County Public Library in Arizona has 2 public health nurses on staff to work with their high-risk and indigent customers in the library. They do basic health screenings, and they refer people to community services. So in light of all the things that libraries are doing nowadays and the ways that we're changing, I think we need a new definition of what a library is. So I propose that a library is a physical entity and or a collection of materials and or a collection of services that promote reading, digital engagement, self-directed learning, creativity, and community. So given that new definition, what about Lexington Public Library? Do we meet the new definition of library? Yes, we do. We have a number of different ways that we reach out to our community. We have our 6 physical locations. We also have our virtual branch, which provides all the same services. We have books to check out, magazines, music, movies, reader's advisory, reference services, children's services, all available either physically or virtually for every member of our community. But we don't just stop with the traditional services and ways of providing services. We look for new ways to serve the community. One of the things we realized was that with the busyness of our libraries, we don't always have the opportunity to devote personalized treatment for reference customers. So we started a new service this year called Book a Librarian. And that allows people to set an appointment so they get one-on-one time with a reference librarian, and they can do genealogy research, term paper research, learn how to use their digital devices, or a number of other topics that they need some specific help with. That's been really popular, and we've expanded it to all of our locations now. Another thing we noticed was that a number of daycares were not able to bring their children to the library for story time. Either they're not within walking distance or the daycare doesn't have transportation. So there's a large cohort of children who need these services and we're not getting them. We were able to respond to that by getting a donated vehicle from Software Information Systems, forming a partnership with Lexington Hearing and Speech, and gathering a number of community volunteers to staff the bus. So we now take our Storytime bus to 11 previously unserved daycares in Fayette County and provide Storytime to over 400 children every month. We want to make sure that Lexington's children are ready to enter school and be successful. So we've partnered with Fayette County Public Schools and a number of other community organizations in a program called Countdown to Kindergarten. This makes sure that every incoming kindergarten student has a summer of really, really fun learning activities that culminate with a big party at one of our library branches to celebrate the fact that they're going into kindergarten and they're going to be big kids now. And then, of course, once they're in school, we want to make sure that they are successful and do whatever we can to help promote that success. We have an online program through our website. It's available free of charge to anyone with a Lexington Public Library card. And it pairs trained tutors with each child to help them through their homework. We also have an in-person bilingual homework help program every afternoon at the Village branch. Because we serve all different ages in our community, we want to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. We have a very robust outreach services department, and they go out and provide a wide range of services to senior centers and other places where older adults live, and make sure that they stay engaged and interested and educated through book clubs and musical activities and a lot of different activities. This is a wonderful service that we provide, and it's well used in the community. Our outreach services also provides through the mobile computer lab computer classes in the branches for adults and also in off-library locations such as senior centers, halfway houses, shelters, the Family Care Center, and on occasion even parks. These young ladies are from the Family Care Center. They are teen moms who are no longer in the public school system. So we take the computer classes to them and make sure that they have a chance to continue their education. We have a really rich history in Lexington, and we work hard to help preserve that history and keep it accessible for all the residents. This year we developed a cemeteries map. It's an online application that maps, as you can see from the dots, all the different cemeteries in the county. Some of them are current cemeteries, some are historic, and may not have been even recognized as cemeteries. But we've got them mapped, and the map is available through smartphones and mobile devices. So you don't have to just use it in the library. You can take it with you, to help find the cemetery that you're looking for and then to help find specific graves in that cemetery. Last year, we were very privileged to have Susan Hildreth, who's the director of the Institute for Museum and Library Services, visit Lexington Public Library. She talked about the skills that will be important in the 21st century, and among those was creativity and collaboration. These are skills that we promote heavily in many of the programs and services that we offer at Lexington Public Library. I would say probably premier among the ways that we do that is the Digital Studio at Northside Branch. This is a place that offers cutting-edge technology for video editing, sound editing, computer graphics, any kind of video program that you might be interested in, everything from just scanning and preserving your own family photos to creating a music video or a new website. You can take classes, but we also find that people tend to work together. They help each other. It's a very collaborative environment. One of the real special things about Lexington Public Library, and there are many, but one of them is the fact that we have an art gallery. You don't find that very often. Our art gallery features a wide range of artistic displays, many of them from Kentucky artists and artisans. And last year we had over 35,000 people visit the displays in our gallery. So that's a significant contribution to the cultural quality of life in Lexington. And then if you want to get more hands-on with your artistic expression, I urge you to visit Beaumont Branch for their Little Leonardos and Daring Da Vinci's art programs for young children. We teach them about the life and the style of a particular artist, and then they get to practice working in that style. They get to create their own masterpieces. So we talked about the great history of Lexington, and among that is our musical history. This is one of the most wonderful places for musical expression of all different genres. So we have tried to maintain that and make it as accessible as possible. We've just recently started a local music collection in the Kentucky Room here at Central Library. We've had hundreds of Kentucky musicians donate their music to us, and we've set up a music listening station where people can come in, sit down, and listen to this music. Our plan is to make it searchable in the catalog and eventually to digitize it so that it's available for download and not just on-site listening. So stay tuned for that. And then along with the art gallery and the digital studio, another thing that not very many public libraries can boast of is a full-service theater. And we have one here. Our Farish Theater was just recently renovated. It's a beautiful space. We offer a wide variety of artistic and musical and films and educational programs and ways that people can connect with their government, such as with the recent congressional hearings on the Affordable Care Act. And here's our version of pole dancing. This past summer, we started a 613.7 party downstairs. For those of you who may be a little rusty on your Dewey Decimal System, 613.7 is, of course, the classification number for physical exercise. And we pulled out all the oldies but goodies. We had Richard Simmons, we had Jane Fonda, we had people just dancing up a storm and exercising and having a great time. We want to do our part to dispel this myth of Lexington being the most sedentary city in the U.S. So, looking at everything that not just Lexington Public Library, but libraries all around the country, and indeed the world, are doing these days, I think it's pretty clear that libraries of the future are innovative, they are responsive, they are flexible, good community partners, and passionate about the communities that they serve. And what about the people who work in these libraries? Is this the face of a librarian of the future? No. Is this the librarian of the future? No. This is the librarian of the future. This is really the best time ever for public libraries. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. We have more opportunities than ever, more ways to serve our communities than ever. And your Lexington Public Library staff have the talent and the passion to make this happen. So stay tuned. Thank you.